for the Detroit Lions to the Tampa Bay Bucks here today at Ford Field. Detroit falls to the Bucks 47-7. Absolutely tough game for these Detroit Lions. I'll bring in my co-host Anthony Bellino down at the Henry Ford Health System update desk. Anthony, you and I watched this game and chatted through the game. Obviously not how the Lions wanted this one to go, but it was a tall order in front of them. They were playing this game, missing 5 people on their coaching staff, including both their play callers on offense and defense. And then in the first quarter of this game, Matthew Stafford gets injured and leaves the game, does not end up returning to this game with the ankle injury that he suffered. We saw David Blau play at times. We saw Chase Daniel play at times. It was really a tough order for these Lions to ask them to win against what's clearly a playoff team in the Buccaneers. Anthony.
Yeah, Tori, I mean, today was kind of a microcosm of how the season has went when you look at that opening drive, the first real possession for the Detroit Lions, and then losing Matthew Stafford so early on in this football game. And I think if anything really stands out to me in this ball game, one, it is, you have 2 teams that are really going in 2 different directions. One team that is looking forward to an offseason, already making some changes in management personnel. Chris Spielman was here today at Ford Field, and that's with the Detroit Lions. And then on the other side of the football, you have a Tampa Bay team that has now won 3 consecutive games and is trying to get their football team in sync and in order, ready to go as they clinched a playoff berth today. They knew what they were playing for going into today's game because they had already lost the division with the Saints winning yesterday on Christmas Day. So today the order for Tampa Bay was you have to get a victory today, and that way you don't need anyone else's help to try to get into this postseason, and then to try to figure out a way to start fast for Tampa Bay. That is something that has really plagued this team. They hadn't scored on their opening drive since week number 4, and today they were able to do it. So I looked at this game talking to Mike O'Hara when you were on with Tim Twentyman for the pregame show, and I talked to Mike about this, and I said, look, this is a game maybe where Tampa Bay tries to really put some pieces of the puzzle together because they've struggled at times on offense and trying to get a groove and get in sync. And for Tampa, that's what they're looking at going into today's game. For Detroit, on the other hand, handful of coaches that are missing, shortened week playing on a Saturday. The deck stacked against him. You pull Matthew Stafford out of this lineup, and that highlights an entirely different problem, which Matthew Stafford, such a talking point, is the quarterback position. It's the most scrutinized position in all of sports. You see what it's like to not have your franchise quarterback at the helm, and that is today's game in a nutshell for me.
Yeah, the Lions were playing QB3 in this game, and they were on HC3 as well. Wide receivers coach Robert Prince took over at head coach for interim head coach Darrell Bevell as he was quarantined due to COVID-19 exposure. So he was the Lions head coach in this game. But like you said, Anthony, a really tough task to ask of him with his starting quarterback out of this game. He caught up with reporters on the virtual podium a little bit earlier, so let's take you to that press conference.
Well, I mean, the issue was on offense, we couldn't stay on the field, and defense couldn't get off the field. With the third downs, I think our defense played hard and had an opportunity to get off the field early in that first drive. It got extended, so they ended up getting a few more plays. And then offensively, we need to stay on the field. We need to convert those third downs. But that goes to the coaching, and we got to get them ready.
When you're short so many coaches, so many play callers, you lose Stafford so early. Is it a hopeless situation? I mean, is this a game that you just couldn't win given the circumstances?
I wouldn't say hopeless. That was a very good football team, obviously, that we're playing. But anytime you take the field, you have an opportunity, and we just didn't get it done today.
How is Stafford? What happened to him exactly?
I'm not exactly sure of the exact injury, but it was a lower body injury, and he was deemed out by halftime.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, did he break it? Can he play next week? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea.
And then for you, what was this week like for you? Your first bite of the apple as a head coach, so to speak.
Well, really, Bev was still very involved with everything, and really, it was during practice is when I really ran the team, and then also during the game, basically. So different challenge than what Coach Bev had, where Coach Bev had to take everything over. Bev was still very heavily involved during the week, and then, like I said, I ran the practice, and then I ran the game.
What was your message to guys before the game today?
Basically is that, it's a player's game, and, Bev's not throwing one pass, and Corey's not making one tackle or covering anybody. It's our opportunity to try to get those guys in position and for them to make the plays come to life. And obviously, we came extremely short today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike Rothstein. Hey, Robert. You've been around for a while, various different places. Have you ever been involved in a loss quite like this?
Yes.
Never?
Have I ever been in a bad loss? Yes, in my career. I think probably a lot of people have experienced at least one loss like this before, and I have.
And for you, at what point do you realize maybe that the defense is in a lot of trouble? Like, at what point does that become clear as a head coach that that's where that was headed today?
Well, I would say I would not just blame the defense by any means. It's a team game. Obviously, it was great to get that score by the special teams to come through. But, offensively, we have to stay on the field. If we're not on the field very long for offense and the defense has to stay on, obviously it's going to be tough for them and they're going to get worn out. So it was a team loss, and it started with me.
And just to dig in a little bit more on kind of that loss that you said that you'd been like this before, when was that? Was that at Boise? Was that in Japan? Where was that? When was that?
I can't remember if it was my first year, 2004, maybe 5 or something, maybe 2004, Kansas City, playing down there. They got after us pretty good, and we tried to get something to go right before half, and I think we ended up throwing a pick 6. I can't remember the final score, but it was something pretty similar to this one.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you. Brad, do you blame this loss on the COVID protocols, on the situation for this? How much of that blame of this loss do you put on the situation that we're in 2020?
No, we're not going to make any excuses. We had our team, they had our team, and they outperformed us today.
And then, as you maybe look at a retrospective perspective years down the road, how will you describe this week to those close to you and to those in the football world about everything this team went through and then what happened here on the field today?
Well, obviously, not good enough today from us, and it was a little bit of a challenge, obviously, with what was happening. But like I said, no excuses. We had our team, they had our team, they had their team, and we weren't good enough today. And I thank the organization for trusting that I would be able to handle this task, and gave me this opportunity. But unfortunately, we came extremely short today.
Hey, Robert. Good to see you. I'm just curious. First, I joined the call a little late, so I apologize if you've been asking this. But I'm just curious on a personal level for you what this week has been like. It feels pretty unprecedented on a lot of levels. What was this week like for you?
Well, it started off with just our normal game planning, and then with what was happening with the protocol, so things were talked about and discussed, and said, hey, we might have an issue with the coaching staff as far as the contact tracing, and just a little bit later in the week, it was determined that some of the coaches weren't going to be there, and it was made the decision that I was going to be the head coach, and Sean was going to call the plays as a coordinator, and Evan was going to be on defense calling the plays, and everyone gave tremendous effort, but unfortunately, it was just short.
Thank you. Last one with John.
Yeah, Robert, I'm just curious from the offensive side of things. You're an offensive coach, but I'm just curious in regards to the defense. How frustrating is it when one side of the ball simply hasn't met many goals this season when you're an offensive coach? What's the offense's mindset when you see one side of the ball just struggle to that degree?
Well, it's all about trying to win the game. So it doesn't matter if we win 50-49 or if we win 2-0. So whatever needs to be done, that's what we want to happen. So if we need to kick a field goal to just win a game by 3-0, then great. If we need to win 50-49, then that's great. We got to take care of our business, and that's how we look at it.
Week 16 acting head coach Robert Prince and wide receivers coach speaking there about this loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had a lot on his shoulders, but you really can't put this entire loss on him. He was asked to step into a very difficult role today. I'll have my co-host Lomas Brown join me down at the Henry Ford Health System update desk. Lomas, this was a very tough loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You spoke with Robert Prince after the game. What do you make of what went wrong in this loss to the Bucs?
Tori, first of all, I just feel so bad for Coach Prince and the players too. This week that they've had to go through losing coaches and the COVID scare and just all the things that went on this week. It's just hard trying to get focused in and play a game, but you have to. You have to do it as a professional. And I just think that the ugly thing just popped its head up again, which is us not being able to stop teams on the defensive side of the ball, Tori. It's just been a problem all year long, and it just continued to be a problem today. And when you go up against a person like Tom Brady and all the weapons that Tampa Bay has, if you don't get stops or you don't limit how many times he touches the ball, oh, man, it could get away from you, and they got away from the Lions today.
Yeah, Tom Brady only played one half in this game, but the stats that he put up were pretty close to full game stats that many other quarterbacks put up. Take a look at his first half stats: 22 for 27 for 348 passing yards, 4 touchdowns he was able to throw, and a perfect passer rating at 158.3. A fantastic first half for Tom Brady and that Bucs offense. I mean, he was handing out touchdowns to all kinds of different guys. Blaine Gabbert ended up starting at quarterback for the Bucs in the second half. And, you know, Gronk had 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans had 2 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette had a rushing touchdown. Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown both had touchdowns. So lots of weapons for that Tampa Bay offense, and almost all of them were able to get one for themselves today. And just take a look at the team comparison stats here. I mean, the receiving yards is really where it sticks out, and the total yards as well. 588 for the Bucs, 186 for the Lions. 7 touchdowns today for the Buccaneers. 2 turnovers by the Lions. Obviously ended in that final score of 47-7. Lomas, what would you say was a key stat in this game?
Oh, Tori, I mean, Tom Brady. I mean, the stats you put up, that looked like a whole game stat. For some quarterbacks, 4 touchdowns, he wasn't pressured. Like you said, it was almost like Oprah when she is doing her gift giveaway. You get a gift, and you get a touchdown, and you get a touchdown. He just spreaded the ball. He had time to look all over the field. And, again, us not getting pressure on him. And we knew he's a statutory person, where he was going to be at. Tom Brady's not going to kill you with his legs. Yet and still, we still couldn't get pressure on him. We still couldn't get him off kilter. And anytime you're going up against the GOAT, and that's what we repeatedly called him that, he's going to have his way with you. And on top of that, a young secondary. Like I say, not all our defensive coaches there. So it was almost a recipe for disaster today, and that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions had an assistant calling this defense who hasn't called plays in that capacity before, but they were just in a tough position. You look back to, you know, earlier this season where the Broncos were put in a tough position. You look back to, you know, earlier this season where the Broncos were put in a position where they didn't have a quarterback to start a game, and this game felt very reminiscent of that, where they were just put in what felt like an impossible position, and then impossible was made even worse with Matthew Stafford leaving this game early with his foot injury. I mean, you know, we talked before the game about how important it was going to be to have Matthew Stafford, a guy who's a veteran, in at quarterback and who could help these play callers out who were calling plays for the first time for the Lions. And, you know, he leaves this game, and that was certainly a huge loss for Detroit.
It really was, Tori. But I think for me, what was even more disappointing is what you pointed out. On the offensive side of the ball, we didn't help ourselves at all. We didn't help the defense. We didn't help ourselves. I mean, anytime you go through a whole game and you only have 186 total yards, we couldn't sustain drives. Sustaining drives would have kept Tom Brady on that sideline. But we couldn't do that, and that's problematic. Even without Matthew Stafford You would think we would be able to put up more yardage, have more success, getting first downs and different things like that. But it just didn't happen. And again, penalties, they played their role, especially early in the game with the Everson Griffin penalty that kept the drive alive, that started the first touchdown for Tom Brady. So it almost became like a snowball effect. But to me, yeah, I could look at the defensive side of the ball, but I was also disappointed with the way, like I said, on offense, we couldn't move the ball and we couldn't help the team from that standpoint.
Well, after Stafford went down, Chase Daniel stepped in, and then later in the game, David Blau was in at quarterback. Usually we see Matthew Stafford come to the podium after games, but obviously quarterback situation was a little bit different today. So it's David Blau who is speaking with reporters at the virtual podium. So let's hear what he had to say about this one.
After the game.
Yeah, man, obviously not feeling great, but he's going to get that stuff looked at, and it's a bummer, come out, and you never expect for that to happen, especially as early on as it did. And I feel bad for my guy, man, but that's why Chase and I are here, and to go out there and play. And I wish Matthew the best of luck. I hope it comes back great, and we'll see where he's at as the week goes on, I guess.
Talking about a potential break, or do you have any idea?
Man, I got no idea, but yeah, I got nothing for you, Dave.
So what was it like watching today? I mean, I know you were in there obviously the fourth quarter, but watching some of this unfold where it just seemed like they could not be stopped and you guys could not do anything on offense.
Yeah, obviously it's tough, man. We got to go out there and try to execute as best we can. And as an offense, we expect better than what we showed out there today. I think all across the board, nobody's feeling sorry for us. Nobody cares that we're down coaches or whatever situation we're in. We're supposed to go out there and produce. So it's frustrating the performance we put on display, but we keep working. You go back to work and you keep learning. That's all you can do in this game and in this league.
Mike Rothstein.
Yeah, hey David, what was it like actually throughout the week for y'all? Like as it kind of became more clear that you weren't going to have Bev and that everyone was going to kind of have to shift over a little bit?
Yeah, obviously different than what we've experienced really so far with your head coach out and having to do things virtually for him. And then other guys who were thrown into the role we thought did a great job of preparing as best we could and trying to put us in a position to be successful. And, man, that's what this year's been, and it's what it's been for us. It's been for everybody around this country, and we're not going to, make an excuse that we weren't ready to go. We just, we got to get out there and put a better product on display, and it's a situation that we were dealt, and you got to play the cards.
And for you, when was the last time, if ever, that you were part of a loss quite like this?
Honestly, for me, I had a game in college where we got our butts kicked like this. It's no fun, man. Everybody's giving everything you can, and guys go out there and try to make plays and try to put the best performance out there, and it's frustrating when something like today happens. The last game of my senior year, man, we played Auburn in the Music City Bowl, and they beat us 63-14.
And this felt like that?
Dude, I mean, it's a hard game to walk out there, and it's hard when you end up losing by 40 or whatever it was. Our only spark on offense is Agnew, and we got to go out there and put a better performance on tape. It's frustrating.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Tim.
Okay, last one with Tim.
Hey, David, thanks for taking the time. Just with the third downs, I think you guys were 1 of 10. How frustrating was that part of it? I mean, it's all about staying on the field as an offense and just the inability really all game not to be able to do that. And I know that wasn't all you, but how frustrating was that part of it, particularly on third down?
Yeah, obviously we got to find a way to stay on the field. I think it's about being good on first and second down, giving ourselves a manageable third down situation and putting us in a position to be successful. And guys, obviously shorter yardage plays. If you can't stay on the field, You make it tough on your defense. That's what we did. If you can't stay on the field, it makes it obviously tough to score points, especially not getting many explosives. And so this league, if you don't convert on third down, it's going to be a long day, like today.
Well, David Blau was the guy who led the Lions past midfield for the first time all game, but that didn't happen until the fourth quarter. There was only 14 minutes and 16 seconds left in the entire game by the time that they did that. And you heard Blau talk about how they just weren't able to get explosive plays going. They couldn't convert on third down. Lomas, what wasn't working for this offense?
So again, Tori, and he's absolutely right. And it's just the little things, Tori. It's the little thing. Again, staying ahead of the downs, not putting yourself in third and long situations, not having penalties that back you up. It was just those little things that kind of kept the offense from moving the ball. And it was really disappointing because, again, you thought the offense, especially, I know when Matthew went out and you got Chase in there, you just thought the offense would kind of get a little momentum, would try to pick up some first downs, would get back to the basis where you could lead Tom Brady and his offense on the field, but it never worked out. And again, little things, stand behind the chains, penalties, those are the things that we've been talking about, seem like, for the whole year now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Lions couldn't get anything going on offense. Their only score of the day was a special teams touchdown, but they also gave up 47 points on defense. So Lomas, where does the blame lie with this one? Is it more on the offense or is it more on the defense?
I'm going to spread it out today. Since it's the holidays, I'm going to spread it out. And I'm going to give it to both because as an offense, we know how prolific Tampa Bay's offense is. So we knew the defense might not have as much success against that offense. But again, on the offensive side of the ball, just trying to maintain things. We knew all week long it's been a distraction with the coaches. We knew having a different play caller, different coach on the sideline, a different voice in there, that it could throw players off. But as professionals, you got to be able to wash all that stuff off. You got to be able to put that to the side and concentrate on what you had to do. And what had to be done today was you had to play 60 competitive minutes, not 30, not 45, but 60 minutes against this team. And Tori, I could say we might have played 1 or 2 minutes of competitive football against them. And that's just not going to get it done. So, it was just overall, like I said, I just can't lay all the blame on one side of the ball. You have to spread this one out because there's a lot of things that the offense could have did to help the defense out. They just didn't do it today.
Well, Lomas, we've still got more to get to. We've got to get to our play of the game. We've got another press conference coming for you guys, and we'll talk more about what this game means for the finish of the Lions season as they head into an offseason searching for a head coach and a GM. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
These past few months have been trying, but despite the setbacks, uncertainty, and challenges, one thing is certain: Michigan will recover, and Comerica is here to help our communities rise. Through our COVID-19 relief program, Comerica has donated millions to COVID-19 testing, personal protection equipment, crucial supplies, food banks, and small businesses, and we're just getting started. To learn more, visit comerica.com/rise.
All for leaving opponents in our dust, linebackers and cancer alike. All for believing in ourselves, even when victory seems impossible. All for working tirelessly as one for the good of all around us. As the official healthcare provider of the Detroit Lions, one for the good of all around us. As the official healthcare provider of the Detroit Lions, Henry Ford Health System is proud to keep our greatest athletes and their biggest fans at their best. Henry Ford Health System, all for you.
As a Marine, I learned resiliency. But when I lost my job, my home, and was living out of my car, I felt like a shadow of that person. Now, I'm working to end veteran homelessness. Nearly 40,000 veterans struggle like I did. But with the help of Rocket Mortgage and Built for Zero, my community has ended veteran homelessness. Yours can too. Join us. Visit ahomeforeveryvet.org to get involved.
Welcome back into the Detroit Lions post-game show presented by the Comerica Bank Rise program. I'm Tori Petrie, and we are breaking down the Lions' 47-7 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here on this day after Christmas. Lions had 3 quarterbacks in at different points in this game. We already heard from David Blau, who played in the latter part of this game. But let's hear now from Chase Daniel, who stepped in after Matthew Stafford went down with that ankle injury. He just spoke to reporters at the virtual podium, and here's what he had to say.
Problems today?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, we weren't good enough, starting with me, and, I didn't really do my job as the backup should do, come in and move the ball down the field. I think that, converting 1 of 10 third downs, that's probably one of them, not staying on the field. I thought we were in some third and manageables, too. I just, that's a good defense up front. They were bringing some pressure packages, and, we weren't on our A game today at all.
At what point does the deficit become the challenge, I guess, when they can do stuff to you defensively that you can't counter because you're playing from so far behind?
Yeah, I mean, we feel on offense like we got to go out and we need to score every drive. That's always been the case, every offense I've ever been on, right? So when you don't, you put your defense in a bad spot, especially against Tom Brady and that offense. And then we're just trying to still run our offense out there, trying to protect the football, trying not to turn the ball over, sustain drives. And I think the biggest thing today was, not sustaining drives. I mean, when you're 1 of 10 on third down, you have 9 series end, and you have 9 punts, it's not good.
And then obviously the big thing today was the coaching staff and how much change there was just in the given week. How did Sean Ryan handle his first go in the play calling seat?
I thought he was really good. I thought he was high energy all week. I thought he took every advantage of his opportunity. Us as an offense, we didn't help him out at all. And it's hard to call, stay with the base defense when you're down quite a bit. And no excuses from anybody. It's a grown man's league, and we got to handle our business week in and week out, and we just didn't do it today.
Thank you, Chase.
Chase, I want to just stay on that topic for a second, I guess. Can you just explain a little bit more what this week was like? I mean, losing all those coaches, and maybe did you and Matthew how much did you have to help Sean with his job and Robert Prince with his job? Did players contribute to that too, I guess?
I mean, it took all of us, but those dudes have been around for a long time. Sean's won a couple rings, or 1 ring at least, with the Giants. I mean, he's been around. RP is a legend in his own right, and I think both those guys handled their jobs seriously, but also had a little fun with it. And unfortunately, we just got down so much today. We got our butts kicked today, and it's no fun. And I feel for them a little bit. I wish we could have at least offensively come out and helped them out a little bit, but we weren't able to.
The not having 5 coaches or whatever it was, how much of a hole did that put you guys in?
I mean, there's no excuses, right? Like there's not at all. I mean, you sort of have to pivot and just keep rolling, and we didn't do that today.
And then last thing for me is just what was it like on the sideline? We sort of see it as at some point it seems relatively hopeless. That the deficit is too big to come back from.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the guys on the sideline. I mean, there's never any quit. Our guys really didn't quit. We kept playing. Unfortunately, it wasn't our day. And really 2 phases. I know Ag was happy to get him a punt return. That was awesome. Guys were jacked up for him on the sideline. I mean, it's never a good day when you get beat like this.
Thank you.
I know, I heard really bad
Mike
about
Rossi.
that too, and I was wanting to see it.
Hey, Chase, a couple things. First, when it comes to Stafford, what have you been told about his status, and do you know where? Does this mean you might start next week? Like, have you been getting any indication?
On both of those, as much as I do. I play here, and I do what they tell me, so I literally know nothing about those two things. I just know, staff is like, hey, man, I can't go. And I was like, all right, man, let's go. So simple as conversation as that.
And for you, what's this feeling like when you go through a game like this? Like, are there other experiences you had in your career where you've been in situations like this, or is this new as far as kind of what happened today?
I mean, yeah, I've been beaten like this before. Very few and far between, and it's never a fun feeling. It's it's what we do for a living. It's a game, but it's what we do for a living. It's our pride on the line, right? And we got our pride crushed today. We got to find out sort of what we're made of in a quote unquote meaningless game as far as playoffs go next week against Minnesota, and just see what we're made of. It's going to give guys some great opportunities to get out there, play hard, play fast, against a really good defense, against really good offense, run game. So we're looking forward to that opportunity.
So, all right, because I just want to follow on that. Is it possible that this loss could end up giving you more motivation for next week than you would have had in a typical season potentially?
No, not at all. I don't think so. I just think that, everybody processes these sort of beatdowns differently. And some take a few days, some take a few hours. So we're just trying to get this one over, watch the film, watch the tape, correct our mistakes more importantly, and try not to make them again.
How do you process it? How do you
Yeah.
go about doing what you've had to in the past?
Yeah, for me, I'll watch the game right when I get home and take tonight, and then tomorrow we'll be on to Minnesota.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jess.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dave, last one.
I just have one quick follow-up for you. Was he able to address you guys virtually before the game and after the game? And if so, what did he say?
Yeah, he talked to us last night and virtually, and just said, "Hey, let it loose, go have fun. There's no excuses, guys. It's been an honor being your guy, and I'll be back next week." It wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't anything like that, but it was what Bev does, and it resonated with guys. Unfortunately, he didn't show up today on the field.
I know he can't be in contact.
A beatdown, in the words of Chase Daniel, here at Ford Field in Week 16. The Lions losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 47-7. I'll have my co-host Lomas Brown join me down at the Henry Ford Health System Update Desk. Lomas, we've been breaking down this game. Lots to talk about as far as why it went wrong. But let's see if we can pull out a couple of bright spots in this game. I think the most obvious one is that punt return touchdown from Jamal Agnew. It's actually our play of the game. So, Lomas, I'm going to have you walk us through this play of the game.
Well, first of all, I felt so happy for Jamal because he's a guy that he runs hard. He plays special teams hard, and he runs the ball each and every time he gets it on the return very, very hard. So I was happy to see that he was rewarded today by breaking a couple of tackles, running hard the way he does, and getting in the end zone. Absolutely, man. I love Jamal, and like I say, he showed his form going through there, along with playing some on offense. To me, he's been one of the bright spots, if we could say we had a bright spot this year. But I was just so happy that he was able to get in the end zone today.
Absolutely. A very impressive punt return touchdown for Jamal Agnew. I believe it is his career fourth punt return touchdown. A very impressive feat for him, and the special teams have often been a highlight for this team. One other highlight from the Lions in this season, I would say, is Deandre Swift. We didn't get to see too much from him today, but we saw a couple of really cool plays from him. Another probably contender for a play of the game just based on coolness factor alone. The play that he had where he just made a nice little cut to the left and then cut up field. That was a nice one, Lomas.
Tori, if I would have stuck my foot in the ground the way he did to fake that guy, I'd have left half of my leg on the field. You're right, man. That guy, I love to watch him run. I really do, because each and every time he gets the ball, it's an exciting play, and it's a play that you think he could go the distance with it. You know, the only thing Deandre going to have to do, he's going to have to work on that ball security, because in this league, it's a copycat league, and everybody's going to be trying to strip the ball away from him. But I think we got a future star in Deandre Swift back there in the backfield. Hopefully we'll be able to get him more help and do more things for him in the future. But I think he's a guy that we're going to be able to rely on for a lot of years.
Well, Lomas, I want to start looking ahead at what this means for the Detroit Lions. You're taking a look at Deandre Swift's stats today. 10 carries for 45 yards, a nice little average of 4.5 yards per carry, but he also had 4 receptions for 25 yards. You know, good to have a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. And that's a guy that the new GM will have to play with. Obviously, going to be a lot of rebuilding going on around here once the Lions hire a new head coach and GM. So I want to look ahead as far as what that means for the Lions as this offseason approaches. Still one game left to play. And someone who's going to be helping out that head coach and GM is Chris Spielman, who was on the field today for the Detroit Lions. Saw him walking around on the field before the game, obviously in the building for this loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's been tasked with assisting the team president and the chairman with this process of hiring a new GM and a new head coach. Lomas, I know that you know Chris Spielman, so give me a sense of what you feel feel like he could do for this team.
Yeah, I mean, and I got the opportunity to talk to Chris at halftime. Went up with him, William White, George Jameson, some of our famous alums were up there. And, you know, I just think with Chris, you know, he's a guy that's all about loyalty. He's a guy about people that's been in the fight. And I think probably the people he'll look at is somebody that has a close connection with the state of Michigan, or somebody that has some type of connection with the Lions. And the reason why I'm saying that, Tori, this is a different culture here. And, you know, we've been through a lot of ups and downs in Detroit, more downs than ups than we've been through. And I think you have to understand that. I think they have to bring somebody in that feels that knows that we've been going through a lot of pains, a lot of heartache throughout the years, and that you have some loyal fans here. You have people that are diehard loyal fans. And I think they have to realize that, and they have to be vested. And that's what I like to say. That's my big word, is vested. Somebody has to have a vested interest in this organization, in this community, because I think that's when you can start turning things around. Like I said, we've been through a lot of ups and downs, and everybody knows, from even going back to my time with Mike Utley, that tragic thing that happened to him getting paralyzed, and, you know, us with our incredible up playing against the Dallas Cowboys. So it's just a lot of things that up playing against the Dallas Cowboys. So it's just a lot of things that have gone on the 60-some-odd years of Detroit Lion football, the modern years of Detroit football. So I think you have to bring somebody in that really and truly understands that, and that's truly vested in not only this organization, but this community.
Well, that sounds like a perfect recipe for someone like Robert Saleh, who's calling that 49ers defense playing against the Arizona Cardinals right now, a Dearborn native there. He's certainly a name that's been tossed around. Obviously, the Lions haven't gotten too far into their head coach or GM interviews yet. They did announce that they interviewed 3 external candidates this week, or at least they announced this week that they had completed those interviews with Rick Smith, Scott Pioli, and Thomas Dimitroff. They interviewed a couple of internal candidates for the position as well. So, you know, the Lions are still just kind of starting that process, not really at the point in the process where they can start interviewing guys who are currently working for other teams, but they have started doing their due diligence on guys in the building and guys who are not currently working for another NFL team. So the Lions are definitely in an interesting spot. Lots to see of this with this offseason of what they will do moving forward. But Lomas, the Lions still have one football game left in this season to play. So what does that mean for the Detroit Lions? What does this final game of the season mean, and what do you need to see from them?
So the word I heard from Chris Spielman at halftime was pride. And that's it, Tori, pride. You're a professional ball player. You're one of the few that play in the NFL. You know, you have to go out there and you have to show your pride each and every Sunday, each and every Saturday. Whenever you play, you need to do that. And I think by Spielman saying that, you know, I think that's the word that's probably going to permeate throughout this organization, especially with him having his fingers on this organization. He's going to look for guys that are prideful, guys that are professionals, guys that when the chips are stacked against you, these guys are still going to fight. And that's all you can ask for. Just like today, my guy John Penasini, love that guy. Why? Because he's going to fight you to the end. John is going to fight you all day long. And those are the type of players that we need to start building around to have a successful team and to have a successful organization.
Well, Lomas, good insight from you. We appreciate your insight as always here on our post-game show. This is actually our last show with you. You won't be with us next week. We will have TJ Lang here with us on the post-game show. Lomas, you've been wonderful to work with all season long, as always. And before we get off the air, I've obviously got to compliment you on your Gators mask.
It's looking good, isn't it, Tori? Let me give you a little side view of it.
Wonderful. I love it. It's perfect. Lomas, we really appreciate you hanging with us all season long, and we wish you very happy holidays, and thank you for hanging out with us this season.
Thank you, Tori, and same to you and all our listeners and followers. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Detroit Lions postgame show presented by the Comerica Bank Rise program. Don't forget, we will be back here with pre- and postgame shows next week as the Lions take on the Minnesota Vikings in Week 17. We'll see you then.